Hey everybody, Devote Oblivion here, and I don't want to keep making so many, depressing talk videos, but once again, things have been going through my mind lately, and I've been just feeling nostalgic, just thinking about the old times, the fun times back when I was still young and carefree, but at the same time, some of those painful memories also resurface that just make you hurt and ache and such. I often find reflecting on the past is actually pretty fun because you get to see how far you've grown as a person, but you may be reminded of some of the more unfortunate things that may have happened. And as a soon-to-be 26-year-old, there are things I actually wish I had done differently than what the old me did. Specifically, mid to late teens to early 20s me, so that puts me in around high school to university, college, post-secondary, however you want to call that. I did find that high school me was too naive and carefree, more so naive. I knew other people that are probably more carefree, but I think I was more naive. And even after graduating high school, I find myself, I just did not evaluate things well, or had a poor read or poor judge on what the future was, or at least the next few years I had in mind and such. So I continue to live with these regrets, and I do hope that others don't follow in the same path as me, which is why I want to make this video where I share some of the things I wish I had done differently in life. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing I wish I done differently was career research. I feel like I should have taken more time to research careers that sort of interest me and that can keep your options and paths for what you want to do for life open, but I didn't really spend too much time on that. I should have researched market trends to see what job market is experiencing increased demand or growth, but even then, I think that doing the career research is good so that you're not sort of shoehorned into one career. You still have options B and C available if you were to not get into, or if you just don't find yourself liking option A anymore and such. And on that note, I do wish I took a look at different jobs and internships and sort of work in them to get a better idea of what I want to do for a career, just to not waste time and money, more so time, as it does become much more valuable as you get older. And yeah, maybe I just should have taken a gap year to do only career research. I feel like that should have been a priority for me back in high school, but I did not prioritize it enough. Okay, so the second thing I wish I did differently is actually taking high school a lot more seriously. I did say that I was more naive, and it really shows in this first point, which is regretting, but also I'm just kicking myself for not taking certain high school classes. Here in Canada, I don't know how it is in every other province here, but to really get into the better universities and such, you need a grade 12 level in the -1, to really get in. So I ended up taking English 30-2, which is grade 12 English, but a little easier instead of 30-1, and I didn't realize that I might actually need it at the time. I knew English was one of my worst subjects, but even then it's wow, I feel like I should have taken it now that I look back, in retrospective. But the one thing I really am kicking myself so much for is not taking all 3 sciences, which is biology, physics, and chemistry. I ended up not taking biology at all, So that means grade 11, grade 12 biology, and I'm really regretting and also wondering why I thought that way. Maybe I think at the time I thought I wouldn't need these classes, as what I had was sufficient enough to get into a career that I want. But I think I mentioned this in my quarter life crisis video. These classes are sort of gatekeeping me from more options. Like, I think I thought that at the time my options was like this big, but in reality it's actually only this big because I just did not take those 3 specific classes, and now I'm wondering how dumb I was for thinking that. And I also wish that I've taken an upgrade year, so like a few of the other friends I had at the time were doing, to just improve marks so that the odds of getting accepted into university are much higher. But even so, I am regretting why I thought that way. And I don't want to mull on that topic for too long. So let's move on to the next one I wish I did more, or did differently, which is not building enough friendships. I feel like my current friend group is probably a little too small. I just feel like I don't have enough social connections these days, especially now that we're adults, and I really wish I had done a better job at building friendships when it was much easier at the time. I think I took it for granted a bit because I was seeing the same people like every day because of high school, and even after high school when we all went to our different like colleges and universities. I feel like I should have kept a better touch with them, but we also had COVID, the pandemic, during that time as well, so it could be an after effect of that, but also I think I did not do a good job at building enough friendships during that time. Which actually leads me to the next point, number 4, which is creating too much distance from the friends I hung out with in high school and to an extent junior high, since we were one pretty big group. I sort of regret distancing myself from my old friend group a bit. I had a lot of good memories with them, and I spent so much time with them. But at the same time now, I also despise them for still being friends with the person who bullied me, because I don't understand how they could see any good with this person. Like, he's probably putting on a fake act in order to be that way, and it still disgusts me, but I can't be an only judge. But even if I disregard all that, I think I distance myself from the group quite a bit, because when we all got together on Discord, it was still pretty self-contained, and after high school, I think this group slowly got bigger and bigger, and it got to the point where I just didn't feel comfortable with them. Like, the friend group is supposed to be a place where you can confide with them, be at ease, and sort of be like who you are normally, like maybe even show your true self and whatnot to them, because it's supposed to be a safe group, it's supposed to be a safe spot. But it slowly drifted away into the point where I didn't feel comfortable with them anymore. And I know it's normal for friendships to drift apart, but even so, I think I was the person who instigated it, but at the same time, it just didn't feel comfortable for me. I do wish I had maintained a few close friendships with the friends who don't interact too much with that group, or at least are not always online most of the time, but even then, I think I created too much distance. I think I was slowly increasing that distance as it got bigger, to the point where I just felt more comfortable with my current friend group as well. And it felt a lot more close and personal compared to them, where I guess when I look back, it feels a bit more artificial. Okay. I'm gonna move on to the next one, which is number 5. and that is stopping part-time work. And this one really is a big one because of how the job market is. I can't speak for everywhere around the world, but at least here in Canada, for me, the current job market is worse than ever. And from what I can gather and what I can conclude based on my experience, even though I may be working my current and intended career that I spent 4 years studying a degree for, I find that experience and connections mean like everything now compared to just having a piece of paper. Like, if you don't have any experience, you're basically not going to make the cut most of the time. And if you don't know someone to even get you an interview, then it means so little. And that piece of paper that you may have spent like 4, maybe 5, 6 years on, unless you have that experience or connections to help with it, you're basically not going to get anywhere. And I do find that was pretty bad. But why does that relate to stopping part-time work as the one thing I wish I did differently? Well, I didn't realize how bad the job market has become. And because of that, I stopped part-time work and actually created an employment gap in my resume, and it may have actually turned recruiters away from me because I've been out of work for this many years, which is I think like 1.5 to 2 years, and it looks unattractive to the recruiter. In hindsight, I feel like I should have cut my hours instead, but I was also experiencing some burnout because customer service is a really exhausting job to do. And in the end, I still think now that what's done is done, and in retrospective, I should have just cut my hours heavily to maybe once a week and such, so that I can still get some form of income coming in, but also not create an employment gap like this big and just keep it to like maybe this big. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else I want to add to this point, so I'm gonna move on to my last point that I wish I did differently, which is not being honest with myself or just not showing myself to others. Like, I'm still working on it now, and I sort of just want to like be more honest with myself. I think that's what I wanted to come back to YouTube to do, which is just express what I want to do and talk about the random things and such. And I also feel like the impression I gave to others before might really affect the perception of how they would perceive me. I wasn't really that perceptive. I was pretty oblivious back then, but even then I look back and I just think, man, I didn't give a pretty good impression to others, and I really wonder how a second meeting with them now would go, because we've all had time apart, we've all had different life experiences, and I feel like a conversation with them now would be very different compared to how it was before, as we've all grown up. And I feel like I also could have been even more upfront about my interests, but I think back on that point and I feel like the only reason why I didn't be too honest with myself is that nearly everything I said back then was used as like ammunition against me by the bully and whoever wanted to associate with them. So it led me to retreat into a shell and become very passive and reserved and be more defensive, and I think that also have created like more mental health troubles with me. I think once I feel comfortable, I will share my piece of the bullying. I will always bring this up whenever I make some of these like bit more serious talk videos, but even then, I feel like I just wasn't honest with myself, and I think I wasn't too expressive or just leave a good impression on people. But I do want to sort of rectify some of that now that we've all grown up. Anyways, that is most of the things I wish I'd done differently. If I can think of more, I'll probably make a follow-up or a part 2 video. But to whoever has watched this from start to finish, or you're just seeing this at the end, thank you for watching, and please comment down below something you wish you had done differently. I'm curious to read what you may have done differently in life, and we all have our own journeys, and it isn't reflective of who we are today instead of who we are back then, as we haven't had those life experiences yet. And yeah, those are all the things I wish I'd done differently. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see everyone in the next video and be in a much more lighthearted tone. Alright, see ya.